David Livingstone Centre is a museum located in Blantyre which overlooks the River Clyde. It gives an insight into the life of David Livingstone, who was born there in 1813 and grew up to become an African explorer and a hero of the Victorian age. The museum displays many of Livingstone's belongings, including his personal journals and notebooks, and also shows the harsh conditions endured by industrial workers in the 19th century. Hamilton Mausoleum is a Roman-style structure located in Hamilton in South Lanarkshire and was built in 1858, 5 years after the death of the 10th Duke. It was the resting place of the Duke and 17 of his ancestors until subsidence and flooding from the River Clyde was cause for them to be removed. The mausoleum previously held the record for the longest echo of any man-made structure in the world but has since been overtaken.
The Falls of Clyde is the collective name of 4 waterfalls on the River Clyde near New Lanark. These are the Upper Falls of Bonington Linn, Cora Linn, Dundaff Linn, and the Lower Falls of St Byers Linn. The area has been a popular destination for visitors as it's one of the most impressive and stunning attractions at New Lanark. Near Cora Linn is the pavilion, built by Sir John Carmichael of Bonington. The pavilion had mirrors on its back wall, and when the doors opened, visitors had the illusion of standing beneath the falls. The waterfall, Cora Linn, was immortalised by William Whitworth, who called it the Clyde's most majestic daughter. Bothwell is Scotland's largest and finest 13th century castle, dramatically set beside a winding in the River Clyde in South Lanarkshire. It owes its origins to Walter of Moray, a northern aristocratic family who acquired Bothwell in 1242. He created the mighty castle in a spectacular display of feudal pride. The huge cylindrical dungeon was built in the 13th century, but it was severely damaged in a series of sieges. Rebuilding in the early 15th century enlarged the castle, but it was abandoned by the 18th century. The present ruin is rectangular, with the remains of the dungeon to the west and the later Great Hall to the east. The castle was originally controlled by the de Morvia family. Then England took over as Edward I captured the castle with a force of 6,800 men. and specially constructed siege engines. Then John Morey of Bothwell married the Earl of Douglas, and he commenced rebuilding Bothwell, repairing the dungeon and completing the walls.
This is the Miners' Monument, and it was erected on the 24th of May 2005 to commemorate the men, women and children who died in the pits and collieries in the Cambuslang area. It's also a memorial to Mick McGahey. McGahey was described by many in the mining community as a working class hero who never lost touch with his roots and socialist values and battled for better wages and conditions for the miners. He started work at age 14 at the Gateside Colliery and continued to work as a miner for the next 25 years. He followed his father into the Communist Party and the National Union of Mine Workers, remaining a member of the Scottish Communist Party until its dissolution in the early 1990s. McGahey was renowned as a great orator, and his words still reverberate to this day, with quotes like, "We are a movement, not a monument," as a reminder of the need to continue to move and to fight on for socialist values. VasLan Landscapes is a heritage-based media project run by VasLan's Media Group.
It offers project volunteers and young people a chance to gain valuable experience in the creative industries, as well as learn more about the local history and culture.
As part of the project, we've been digitising old media such as 35mm slides, old photographs and cinefilms, and we've been researching the background between these.
Digital transfer is a large part of the media project, and so far we have transferred and enhanced over 300 35mm stills and 40 16mm cinereels.
The media that we've been working with shows a real insight into how life used to be for people, and some of the images go back to the 1800s.
The cinefilms are really a snapshot of social history in the 1950s and the 1960s. They feature events such as gala days and community events, stuff that really brought everyone together back then.
It was interesting getting a glimpse back in time at what life was like in the 1950s and using the equipment they used back then, like cinefilm and old projection systems. It was interesting to see it from a filmmaker's perspective, as the equipment they used back then was so different. Transferring the cinefilms to digital just shows how much things have changed since the 50s. Back then was so different from how these images are created now in the digital age.
Since the project started in summer 2013, 13 volunteers have taken part in the project, undertaking filmmaking, photography, digital transfer projects and learning about local media and local history.
The aim of the project is to display the work we create in a website and also in an exhibition which is at the World Heritage Destination in Lanarkshire, and it takes place in August of this year.
The displays will feature photography and filmmaking exhibits, as well as projects that reflect the jam-making history of Carluke and the reconstruction of New Lanark, all of which will feature Laughs and Landscapes volunteers at the centre of the project.
It's been a good project because you get experience in filmmaking and photography, and you also get to showcase your work.
You also get a certificate for your work, as well as learning a lot about local history and culture.